In 2020, we all learned a lesson about broadband. We thought it was just a convenience, an easy way to shop or watch movies. It turned out to be our connection to the essentials of life, to work, education, banking, healthcare, community, government services, and so much more. It turned out to be as essential as clean water, reliable power, heat in winter, and cooling in summer. It was a terrible way to learn that lesson. But since then, private companies have ramped up broadband construction and governments have made billions available to help. But here's the question: how can your community work with a private sector partner to get the network you really need?
So I served as an elected official in my town in Connecticut for 6 years, and before that I held several other offices. And one of the things that I learned when I was working on creating a fiber network collaborative of 18 towns and trying to figure out how to access all the different services that you need when you're building out and thinking about these networks is how much of a team that you really need for all of this. So 5 or 6 years ago, I was running all over the place trying to find an engineer, trying to find someone to build out plant, trying to find somebody to provide actual services. And I think as time went on and this industry began to mature, you had companies like Lit coming in who are able to provide everything from A to Z. With Lit, we were really fortunate to be able to start from a public-private space and be able to move into a space where we can come in now and without any obligation, a financial obligation from the community, be able to work with the community and build out a network that serves them.
When network builders look at your community, they see things you don't. You can get more out of a new network by learning to see the same things. It just takes the answers to 3 questions. Your community probably has assets that cost you nothing but have big value to network builders.
The Medina County Port Authority began in 2003 with the idea of building a county-wide fiber network. The initial goal was to create fiber for industrial and commercial, education, government customers. And so in 2010, we had the opportunity to leverage some stimulus bonds that were available to us. And we started by building a 150-mile, we call it a backbone fiber network. So we had that asset in place already in Medina County. But the long-term vision was truly to find a partner like Lit Fiber who could bring the vision of a county-wide fiber network to reality. And the partnership has just been amazing, and it's developing exactly as we had originally envisioned.
What are your hidden assets? They may be fiber networks owned by local government, or conduits already installed in some of your streets, or current infrastructure projects that create new pathways for network fiber. It could be an electric utility owned by your city or county. That's a big advantage because it already has a network path to every premise and controls the vital rights of way. It also gives the network builder a single point of contact for negotiation and construction.
Well, the partnership with Lorain Medina Rural Electric Cooperative really came about as a result of some relationships that our office had built. We represent both the Medina County Economic Development Corporation and the Medina County Port Authority. And we have been working with LMRE, as we call it, for a number of years. LMRE had a new manager who was very familiar with fiber networks. And because of our work with him, we knew that he was very interested in bringing a fiber broadband product to the electric cooperative customers. So knowing that that's what his goal was on one hand, and working with Lit Fiber and the Medina County Port Authority for so many years on the other hand, I was able to kind of put them together and say, look, we can help everyone accomplish their goals. We can bring fiber to the whole county. We can use the resources that Lit Fiber has already brought to our community, and we can use the physical assets that LMRE has. But probably the piece of the puzzle that was most crucial was Lorain Medina Rural Electric Cooperative coming to the table because they could basically not only give us permission to use their poles, they participated financially in this project by agreeing to do the make ready on an in-kind basis. They probably invested $2 million worth of value in the project because they're using their people and replacing poles so that we could, get that fiber on the lines.
It can be property in your community that nobody is using today, like vacant buildings that can be co-location sites where other networks connect to yours. Community property for outdoor cabinets to avoid negotiating for private property. Even available warehouse or office space to support the construction phase. These assets can all reduce the time it takes to build a network, or they can replace costs in the construction or operations budget. That can save a lot of time and money at no cost to the community. The right government policies and practices can reduce time, cost, and risk for the network builder without sacrificing the public good.
Each jurisdiction has its own rules, regulations, and standards, and it is our job to learn these differences as quickly as possible. And the best way to do that is by meeting with them and asking them, what is it that you are looking for? How can we make your life easier? How can we make sure that our permits, when they're submitted to you the first time, have everything that you require on them? Just making sure that you have the perfect permit the first time means that you can have more accurate review times. So you can build out the schedule a little bit further. So you know, okay, this particular jurisdiction usually takes maybe 2 weeks to review a permit. But if there's revision cycles in there, then that might extend to about a month or maybe 2 months. If you can get it done and perfect the first time, then you don't have to worry about that. You can stick to those 2-week markers.
What policies and practices are on the network builder's wish list? One-stop permitting. Every network builder has horror stories about making multiple visits to multiple offices in a process that drags on forever and fails to provide certainty. A one-stop process, ideally online, is transparent and clear. It helps builders provide all the information you need, lets them track progress and permit approval, and easily respond to your requests. Help in attracting customers. A new high-quality broadband network? That's a big deal. Your government can help it succeed with council endorsements, public events, and email and social media. You can engage with high-potential subscribers like hospitals, school districts, and property developers. But you're only going to do that if you trust the builder to deliver the network your community needs. That's why the relationship with a network builder should be a two-way street. Your community brings assets, smart policies and practices, and help with subscribers. The company brings investment, technical expertise, and know-how in construction, operation, and marketing. But they can provide a lot more than that. They can sponsor a local team or provide scholarships to graduating seniors. You should definitely encourage that. But you should also consider how a network can support your community's future. Are you thinking about smart stoplights, connected streetlights, or video surveillance? Ask the builder to run fiber where you're going to need it. Are you expecting property development in new subdivisions? Ask them to install conduit or dark fiber there. Are you committed to digital equity and inclusion? Ask the builder for the right coverage, low-cost internet plans, and training courses to provide equal opportunity for all. By thinking ahead and making your needs known, you can get a lot without hurting your relationship with a network builder.
I think what we've learned is that change is inevitable and you need to expect it. And we've also learned, which we knew, but we've learned it more in practice, is that truly every community is different. So the words we use often are every community is a snowflake. And so knowing that that is the case, while we have somewhat of a model, it's not a simple copy-paste to deploy in every location that we seek to go. So for us, knowing that change is inevitable, that includes our model and needing to make sure that what we're deploying in that local market meets that local need. There's a lot we didn't expect to learn when we did because of COVID. We were started in 2019, and the motto we had then was expedited by COVID. And then since COVID has, I'll say, subsided in the sense that most of us are back to semi-normal life, the need for connectivity, though, has not subsided. If anything, it continues to increase. And so balancing that out, which now has different use cases than when everyone was at home all the time, it's just a constant state of flux, honestly, in the industry, and we have to adapt and be ready to serve.
If your community is not already well served by broadband, there's a reason. It's likely that private companies could not make the business case. They did not expect their investment to earn a sufficient return. In today's market, that's an opinion you can change. Your community can stop waiting and start working to change how providers see the opportunities your community presents. And if you do that, you will be doing what government leaders have always done, making sure their community has the infrastructure it needs to be a great place to live, work, learn, build, and grow. Broadband isn't just a business. It's what connects you and your people to the essentials of life.